continue in negotiating with Tim Oates' client, and if we are successful, then I'll withdraw and refile for the new parcel. Yeah. Sorry, we're going back and forth a little bit.
Right, you just gotta figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different parcel. I'm not withdrawing today just because I don't have my deal cut. Okay. So we'll look at it. It's a fair question. Okay. I think it's tied to the property. I think you're right. But we'll double check it. Okay. Just because it's likely to come to fruition next time. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Eddie. Hi, David.
Good.
It is 1 o'clock, Chairman Bland. You can start if you like.
Well, with that being the case, I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is a public hearing of the Metropolitan Board of Zoning Appeals, Division 3. I am Percy Bland Jr., Vice Chairperson of Division 3. This is my first time doing this, so I will respectfully ask for you all's patience. The other board members present are Roderick Bohannon, Cameron Radford, Brian Hannon, and alternate from Division 1, Peter Nelson. Legal counsel for the board today is Chris Steinmetz. Staff members present from the Division of Planning are Eddie Hanea, Principal Planner, Senior Planner Jeffrey York, Senior Planner Robert Ulanake. I think he's present. No? Senior Planner Marlene Arajeta, Associate Planner Genesis Hill, and Senior Specialist and Secretary to the board, Heather Steffen. Matt Pleasant is the current planning administrator. The board has copies of the zoning ordinances that will be incorporated by reference into the record for each case heard today. The proceedings of this hearing are governed by the board's rules of procedure. The expedited cases will be heard immediately after all requests for continuances or withdrawals. As each non-expedited case is called, petitioners and remonstrators interested in that particular case will please stand. Those who intend to testify will please remain standing and be sworn. Petitioners should be on your left and remonstrators on your right as you face the board. Those who testify will state their name and address for the record before beginning to testify. Petitioners and persons appearing in support of the case being heard shall have a maximum of 15 minutes for the presentation of evidence, statements, and arguments in support of the petition. Remonstrators and persons appearing in opposition to the petition shall have a maximum of 15 minutes for the presentation of evidence, statements, and arguments in opposition to the petition. Staff will then present the administrator's comments regarding that petition. The petitioner will then be allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal and a summation of the case. Rebuttal must be limited to the subject matter of the initial presentations. Remonstrators will then be allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal of the petitioner's rebuttal evidence and a brief closing statement. No further evidence, statements, or argument will be heard unless it is at the discretion of the board. Please limit your testimony and evidence to the matters covered in the statutory requirements, which must be met in order for the board to grant a variance. If the petitioners have failed to comply with all notice requirements as stipulated by the board's rules of procedure, including posting of the notice sign on the subject property at least 23 days prior to the hearing, the board may continue the petition. Anyone at this hearing who thinks complete and proper notice has not been given and would like the petition to be continued due to lack of proper notice must bring this to the matter of the board's attention at the beginning of the hearing. The board may impose various conditions or commitments as amendments before reaching a decision on certain petitions. The installation of landscaping and screening, paving of a parking area, dedication of rights-of-way are examples. These conditions and commitments are an integral part of the board's decision and must be met for a granted variance to be valid. Compliance with conditions imposed by the board must be proved by an affidavit of compliance submitted by the petitioner within 30 days of completion. Unless otherwise specified, an improvement location permit must be obtained prior to the establishment of the authorized improvements. Failure to comply with any of the conditions or commitments of a variance grant is violation enforceable by the Department of Business and Neighborhood Services. A person may file a written request to receive notice of the filing of a petition for judicial review of a decision of the board. The written request must be filed within 5 days of the board's decision and must include the person's full name and correct mailing address as are referenced to the board petition's number. Forms are available and may be obtained from the board secretary. Please be advised that contacting members of the board regarding a matter pending before the board outside of this public hearing process is prohibited. Please be courteous and orderly at all times. Please be sure all cell phone ringers are turned off. Is there anyone in the audience who has any questions about our procedures? If not, before we hear special requests, I will ask for a waiver of our rules of procedure to allow the board to vote for all expedited petitions and adopt their findings of fact without any additional testimony from the individual petitioners. I'll need a motion.
Bohannon, so move.
We have a second.
Hannon, second.
I'll go ahead and ask for a vote. Bohannon?
Bohannon, yes.
Radford?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Bland, yes. We will consider special requests and continuances at this time.
Thank you. Board members, Joe Calderin, attorney with offices at 11 South Meridian, Indianapolis. I call your attention to two cases. I'll make these requests separate. The first one is the transferred case, 2022 DV2004, 5345 West 81st Street. I represent the petitioner in that matter. I'm pleased to report that we have reached agreement with staff in terms of a landscaping plan. We had previously presented this case a couple of times to the Pike Township Residents Association. They tendered a letter recommending approval. We're not aware of any other remonstrance, so with all of that in mind, we would ask that this matter be placed on the expedited docket, subject to a commitment to the adherence to the landscaping plan file dated May 19th, 2022.
Okay, are these two separate things, Heather? Do we need to acknowledge the condition first, or?
All you would be considering is expediting after
Okay.
you, staff would be able to give you, when you go to the planner, they would
Gotcha.
give you more
Okay,
information.
we'll hear from staff then. Are there anyone in the audience interested in this case? All right, we'll hear from staff.
Thank you, Chairperson Bland. I'm not sure, say Junior, Bland Junior. Staff is recommending approval of the request. The petitioner did submit a revised landscape plan as of May 19th, 2022. That met staff's conditions, In addition, the neighborhood organization, PTRA, did request that they be subject to that revised landscape plan. Therefore, I believe the petitioner did commit to that, so this can be placed on the expedited portion of the docket with said commitment.
Gotcha. Are we good to go ahead and vote?
It's entirely up to you, Chairperson Bland.
So we'll go ahead and vote for this to go on the expedited docket. I'll go ahead and take a vote. Bohannon?
Bohannon, yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Cameron? Radford?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Bland, yes. Thanks.
Thank you, Chairperson Bland, members of the board. Joe Calderon again, 11 South Meridian, Indianapolis. I was recently hired to represent the petitioner in 2022 DV3 004 7557 Shelby Street. That is the first petition in the continued portion of your docket today. We would request one additional continuance to your June 21st meeting without additional notice unless there's an amendment that requires it. We are negotiating with the adjoiner of the adjacent shopping center to the east and may have new findings to report to you next month. That could be in the form of a withdrawal or accommodation for this location.
So right now the request is for a continuance.
Continuance to June 21st.
All right, is there anyone in the audience that is interested in 2022 DV3004? Now we can go ahead and hear from staff.
Thank you, Chairperson Bland Jr. and members of the board. Staff has no objection to the continuance request for 2022-DB3-004 to the June 21st, 2022 hearing date. That would be without additional notice.
I acknowledge, and I think I'll go ahead and actually ask for a motion this time.
Bohannon, so move.
Do we have a second?
Radford, second.
We'll go ahead and take a vote. Bohannon?
Bohannon, yes.
Radford?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Bland, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Board. My name is Chris Barnett with Habitat for Humanity of Greater Indianapolis at 3135 North Meridian Street. I am here in regard to case number 2022 DV3-016 at 6435 East 11th Street. I have two requests regarding this petition. First, it was determined that we do not need the variance regarding compensatory storage that we requested, so I would withdraw that portion of the request.
Okay.
And secondly, I don't believe that there is anybody here in opposition, and I would like to move to the expedited docket, please.
Yes, sir. Is anyone in the audience interested in this particular case? All right, we'll hear from staff, please.
Thank you, Chairperson Bland and members of the board. Staff has no objection to placing petition 2022-DB3-016 on the expedited portion of the docket with that withdrawal. I don't recall if it was acknowledged, but yes.
Yep, withdrawal is acknowledged, and we'll go ahead and ask for a motion to vote.
So moved, Hannon.
We have a second?
Bohannon, second.
Go ahead and take a vote. Bohannon?
Bohannon, yes.
Radford?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Bland, yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Members of the board, David Kingen with offices at 6180 East Market Street, here before you on case 2022 DV3009, property located at 8630 Brookville Road in Warren Township. It was identified by staff that additional re-advertisement needs to take place on this petition because one component of our request has not been properly advertised. So we would ask that this be continued to the June 21st hearing, and that would be with additional notice.
With additional notice. Anyone in the audience interested in this particular case? All right, we'll go ahead and hear from staff, please.
Thank you, Chairperson Blaine and members of the board. Staff is aware of the additional variance that is needed. Therefore, we support the request to the June 21st, 2022 hearing date with additional notice for 2022-DB3-009.
All right. Council, do I need to do anything specific in regard to the notice?
What was the question?
Do I need to do anything specific in regard to the additional notice?
No, just note that it's being continued, subject to new notice.
Being continued, subject to being noticed. So I'll go ahead and take a motion.
Bohannon, so move.
Have a second.
Second.
Go ahead and take a vote. Bohannon,
Bohannon, yes.
Radford,
Yes.
Hannon,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Bland, yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Pat Rooney here, office at 1638 Shelby Street, on behalf of Wilson Water and Sewer and Service, petition number 2022 UV3005, and we would just like to request a 2-month continuance on this one.
Okay. Anyone in the audience interested in 2022 UV3005? All right. Should we have him go ahead and stand, please? And would you like to speak on behalf?
To the continuance, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
That's
All right. We'll go ahead and hear from staff then, please.
Thank you, Chairperson Bland, members of the board. Staff is concerned about the request of 2 months, as this is the first we've heard. During the 2 months, there are approximately 30 vehicles on site that will remain. If the petitioner can explain the reasoning for the 2 months, otherwise staff would support a 1-month continuance.
Okay. Are we okay to go ahead and hear from the petitioner on that?
And we are working on removing the vehicles, and would do so regardless of the continuance, whether it's for 1 month or 2. But if you're only comfortable with 1 month, we would be fine with just 1 month.
Staff? I think the request has been made to continue for 1 month. Would that change the referral?
To clarify, the remonstrator in the office, I did not hear, they were okay with the 2-month continuance?
Do we need to have the remonstrator stand and state his name and address before speaking on this matter?
It wouldn't hurt if the remonstrator were to come to the microphone.
Sir, could you please come to the microphone and state your name and address, please?
My name is Thomas Lorenz. I am 3759 South Pennsylvania Street, 46227, and I'm the leader of the Northwest Perry Neighborhood Association where the property is. And Mr. Rooney had contacted me and asked if I would be okay with a continuance. He said it would be 1 or 2 months. As far as the Neighborhood Association is concerned, if he thinks that would be helpful to him, we would not get in the way of that. So.
Okay, I'll ask staff if that's sufficient.
Staff has no objection, and will defer to the Neighborhood Association. I believe the
Yes.
Neighborhood Association's okay with the 2-month request, and staff is as well. However, this will be the only request that staff will support.
Yes, sir. All right, so if I'm understanding correctly, we are going to go ahead and ask for a motion for the 2-month continuance, if that's okay with the Mr. Thompson Neighborhood Association and the petitioner.
Bohannon, so move.
All right, I'll take a second, please.
Second.
All right, we'll go ahead and take a vote. Bohannon,
Bohannon, yes.
Radford,
Yes.
Hannon,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Bland, yes.
Thank you.
Chairperson Percy,
Yes, sir.
could we clarify whether that's with additional notice or without additional notice?
It's a great point.
We weren't planning on additional notice, but we may be amending the petition, and depending on the amendment, we may be sending out notices. But that was one of the reasons for the 2-month, is so that we can work together with staff to amend the petition.
Very good. So it'll be with notice
With
if
notice.
necessary.
Yes,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you, sir. We'll go ahead and move with any other requests for expedited docket?
Thank you, Chairperson Bland, members of the board. Staff will draw your attention to petition number 2022 UV3-008. This is the first petition on the second page, located at 10195 East 86th Street. Timely automatic neighborhood, a registered neighborhood organization has filed a timely automatic continuance continuing this petition to the June 21st, 2022 hearing. This would just require the board's acknowledgement.
Is acknowledged.
Thank you. Following that, staff will draw your attention to petition number 2022 UV3-010, located at 7500 East 30th Street. Registered neighborhood organization has filed a timely automatic continuance from this petition as well, continuing it to the June 21st, 2022 hearing. This would just require your acknowledgement.
Duly acknowledged.
Thank you. And finally, for me, staff will draw your attention to petition number 2022 UV3-014, located at 7715 East 42nd Street. Registered neighborhood organization has filed a timely automatic continuance on this petition, continuing it to the June 21st, 2022 hearing, just requiring your acknowledgement.
Yes, sir. Duly acknowledged.
Thank you.
Any other requests for expedited docket or?
Chairperson Bland, members of the board, staff would draw your attention to your last petition on your docket on second page, 2022 UB3015 at 511 Madison Avenue. Likewise, with the previous three petitions, there's been automatic continuance request by a registered neighborhood organization to your June 21st hearing. That would just require your acknowledgement.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Thank you.
Chairperson Bland and members of the board, staff will draw your attention to petition 2022-UV3-009, the first item on the second page of the docket. Address at 2650 North Franklin Road. A timely automatic continuance request was submitted by a registered neighborhood organization, continuing this matter to the June 21st, 2022 hearing date, and that would require the board's acknowledgement.
Thank you. It's acknowledged.
Thank you. Staff will draw your attention again to petition 2022-UV3-011, address at 175 Southern Plaza Drive. A timely automatic continuance request was also submitted for this petition by a registered neighborhood organization, continuing this matter to the June 21st, 2022 hearing date, and that would require the board's acknowledgement.
Acknowledged. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson Bland and members of the board. Staff would draw your attention to 2022 UV3-013 for 203 West Morris Street. A timely automatic continuance was submitted by a registered neighborhood organization, continuing this to the June 21st hearing. This would require your acknowledgement.
Yes, ma'am. It's acknowledged.
Back under the new petitions, 2022 DV3017 for 2826 North New Jersey Street. The petitioner has requested a continuance from today's hearing to the June 21st hearing. This would require a vote by the board, and I am not sure if this would require any new notice, but if needed.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that's concerned with that particular case? 2022 DV3017, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Would you all like to speak on behalf of that, or are you good with the continuance, or?
What was the date?
June 21st. That's correct.
Okay.
No problem. Okay, thank you. Any questions about this case before I ask for a motion? I'll go ahead and ask for a motion for continuance without further notice or with further notice?
With notice if needed.
With notice if needed. So do we have a motion?
Bohannon, so moved.
Second?
Hannon, second.
I'll go ahead and poll the board. Bohannon?
Bohannon, yes.
Radford?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Bland? Yes.
Thank you, Chairperson Bland and members of the board. This is the last petition for me. 2022 DV3014. A timely automatic continuance by the petitioner has been submitted, continuing this to the June 21st hearing. This would require your acknowledgement.
It is duly acknowledged. Thank you. Any other special requests, continuance, or the expedited docket? Okay, I think we are good to go ahead and proceed with the expedited docket.
2022 DV3 015 1421 Musing Road, Warren Township, Council District 19, Zone DA. Brock and Brook Coffee request a variance of development standards of the Consolidated Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance to provide for an 18-foot tall detached pole barn with a 15-foot side setback. Accessory structure is not permitted to be taller than the primary structure. 30-foot setback required. 2022 DV2 004 5345 West 81st Street, Pike Township, Council District 1, Zoned I3. 5345 Owner LLC by Joseph D. Calderon requesting a variance of development standards of the Consolidated Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance to allow for the development of an off-site parking and storage area with a double-loaded and single-loaded row of parking in front of a building within 40.75% of front setback area with a 27-foot front setback, 26-foot east side setback. All parking areas required to be on site. Only one double-loaded row of parking limited to 10% of the front setback permitted in industrial districts. 60-foot front and 30-foot side setbacks required. 2022 DV3016 amended petition. 6435 East 11th Street, Warren Township, Council District 19, Zone D2, floodway, flood fringe. Habitat for Humanity of Greater Indianapolis by Chris Barnett, requesting a variance of development standards of the Consolidated Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance to legally establish a single-family dwelling and provide for a deck addition at an elevation of 1.5 feet above the base flood elevation, 2 feet above base flood elevation required. Is there anyone here today in opposition to any of these petitions I've just read into record? Chairman Bland, that is the end of the expedited docket.
Are we going to go ahead and get a motion to vote on these, or are we going to do it via ballot?
We have ballots.
Okay, this is new. Yay.
It is new. I'm sorry. It's not new for me. It is new for Board 3. This is your first time doing ballots. You will find them in numerous places in that folder where the expedited only contained the ballot originally. So you will find the ballots for 2022 DV3015, 2022 DV2004, 2022 DV3016. And I shall collect them now.
Thank you, Board Specialist.
For petitions 2022 DV3015, 2022 DV20104, and 2022 DV3016 as amended, 5 votes have been cast, 5 votes in favor for all 3 petitions. These expedited petitions are approved. Everyone on the expedited docket, if you have no additional business with the board, you are permitted to leave at this time. And Mr. Bland, I moved very quickly. We all moved very quickly through everything, but I believe we have no petitions left to be heard by the board today.
Is there any other business to come before the board today?
I do have findings of fact from petitions heard previous, one being 2022 UV3002, which, if not adopted, at least I can acquire the signature of Mr. Hannon. Another is 2022 DV3013, also negative findings of fact from a previous hearing date. And the reason why we're very interested in getting a signature from Mr. Hannon is because today is his last hearing, as he has acquired ownership of property out of the township from which he lived, which was the reason for his appointment, and we shall miss him very much.
We will miss you, Hannah.
And thank you for your service. And with that, I have no additional business, Chairman Bland.
Okay, do I need to bang anything or anything? Consider us dismissed.
If you would like to, you can make it very final.
We are adjourned, I guess.
Thank you.
Did we do that? Are we done?
We're good.